What is up, you guys? How are you doing? I hope you're having a great new year so far. Today, we are finally going to be talking about the long-awaited, highly anticipated Avatar 2: The Way of Water. Now, this video will contain
Spoilers.
so if you have not seen the film yet, go watch it and then come right back here. Anyways, let's get right into it. So first things first, I think we should give our brief thoughts on the first Avatar, our thoughts on James Cameron and his films in general, and just kind of talk about our general expectations going into this film. You want to go first on that?
Yeah, man, I can speak first on that. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really care at all about Avatar 2. Avatar 1 is a movie that I think when it came back in theaters in September, I went to see it in IMAX, and I really liked it. It's actually the first time I saw it was about a couple months ago in September. It's all right. I mean, it's visually beautiful, but in terms of story, it is baseline normal. I mean, it's very predictable, and it's not something that makes you think very hard outside of the what exactly you think is going to happen. What you think is going to happen is exactly what happens. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's generic, but it's entertaining, and it is visually stunning. So Avatar 1, I think, is pretty decent. Now Avatar 2, on the other hand, I think is much better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. My hopes for Avatar 2 or my expectations for Avatar 2 were pretty generic. Like I did not have any real faith in Avatar 2. It's been 13 years since the first one, so honestly felt like it took them this long to do it that it wouldn't be well done, because it just seems like if they didn't have a decent idea this far in advance, like feels like they were scratching at thin air trying to find out something to make a movie about. But that's not the case at all. James Cameron knew what he was doing. He just wanted to make sure it was done right. So yeah, that was my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of James Cameron, mainly because he gave us three of the greatest sci-fi action films ever made, which are Aliens, Terminator, and Terminator 2. And in my opinion, he will forever be in my good books for those films, and will forever be good for that. True Lies is quite underrated as well, and I am like impatiently waiting for a sequel to Alita Battle Angel. I thought that film was awesome. I love how he uses visual effects to enhance the stories he tells, and I love how he always strives to like go big with his films and make like every project he pursues, make every project this grand spectacle, whether he's directing, writing, or producing it. When it comes to the first film and my thoughts on it, I agree that the story is quite generic and definitely pretty cliche and not the most original. Everybody's talked about how it's similar to Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves and the Pocahontas. People have called it Dances with Smurfs, which I think is pretty funny. And there's some pretty ridiculous things in there, like the main MacGuffin of the film, being called unobtainium. And I think the messaging of the film and what it's trying to say in terms of the environment and things like that is also definitely unsubtle, and sometimes it can veer into kind of like heavy-handed territory. But apart from that, like you said, the film is an incredible visual experience. Like the visual effects are amazing. The cinematography, the score from James Horner, rest in peace, is amazing. I love like the world building and the world of Avatar. I enjoyed the first movie a lot, even though I recognize that it has problems. I was definitely cautiously optimistic and going into this one. Like, I was excited for it, but I was also concerned that it wouldn't live up to the hype. Since it's been so many years since the first film, and sequels that are made like several years or like decades after the original, they either end up being incredible, like Top Gun Maverick or Blade Runner 2049, or they end up terrible, like Independence Day Resurgence and the Matrix Resurrections. So now we get to this film, 12 to 13 years after the original, a lot riding on it. And I thought this film was fantastic, and I think that in many ways it improves upon the first film. I thought the acting in this one was a lot better, because like for me in the first film, like the performances range from meh to pretty good. The visuals in this film are on a whole different level, and are just absolutely amazing, and you can tell like just how much time and hard work went into it, especially the underwater scenes. The story and characters I thought were a lot more compelling and emotional this time around. Like even though still story-wise and plot-wise, it's like not the most original, and there's definitely a lot of cliches. And yeah, I thought this film I thought this film was an extremely well-made movie that was definitely worth the wait. Like I saw this movie in IMAX, and this is the first time in almost a decade I've been to an IMAX movie, and it was just a beautiful experience. It was just like heaven for me. Like this is one movie that needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible with the best sound possible. Like Top Gun Maverick, this movie was made for the theatrical experience.
100% agree. Top Gun Maverick is probably the best theatrical experience of the year. I would still say this is right behind it. Very, very close, because this movie, like you said, I was sitting in the theater just like blown away with what I was looking at. I wasn't even thinking about the story while I was watching this movie, because I was so blown away. All the cool stuff that was happening on the screen. And literally, like the whole middle of the movie is literally just James Cameron be like, watch what I can do.
Yep.
He's doing underwater scenes. He's doing like CGI clips of the guy wrapping his hand around the rope to keep his hold on to the animal, and it just looks so real.
I know, yeah.
It's unbelievable how real everything looks. And like you said, this is 100% true. You need to see this movie on the biggest screen possible. You need to see it with 3D glasses. 3D was unbelievable, and I do not like 3D. I'm one of those people who I avoid 3D.
Yeah.
I want to see 3D again. I want to see this movie again with 3D glasses in IMAX, because I didn't see it in IMAX the first time. Which that's another thing we should talk about too, because the regular showings, the regular 3D has a high frame rate.
Yeah. I noticed that in the IMAX. I noticed I noticed that it was filmed at a much higher frame rate, because most movies are filmed at 24 frames per second, and this film, but I'm not sure what the frame rate was. I think it was like 48. Yeah, this is similar to what the Hobbit did, and like at first, and like the first few minutes of the movie, it was a bit jarring for me, because I'm just not used to seeing a movie filmed like that. But as the film went on, I got over it and thought that was pretty cool looking.
Yeah, me too. When I first started, I thought I was playing a video game. It felt like it. And then like over time, I was like, okay, this is awesome. It looks so good. Now, the scenes with dialogue, I thought it was a little weird. When just people were, like, when Jake and Zoe Samala's character.
Natiri,
thank you. When they're just chatting, the high frame rate was weird.
Yeah.
But, like, the water with all the fish blowing by, and Samori Weaver's character, like, making all the fish, it was so cool. This is just a movie that, like, after you watch it, you think about it, and you're like, how did they do that?
I know, yeah.
How did they film that? How did they make it look that good? And I love movies like that. Like, Top Gun was the same way. After I watched Top Gun, I was like, how did they?
Yeah,
like, that is impressive.
Yeah, it's a film that immediately after you just want to know how the hell they managed to pull that off. Like, like I was reading and watching stuff about Top Gun Maverick, and how the actors they had to learn how to fly these planes, and they had to find like just the right planes and just the right techniques to get the perfect shot. And I read that like for Avatar, that most of the actors learned how to free dive, and most of and a lot of these underwater scenes were actually filmed like underwater, but of course they had like motion capture and stuff like that. So because I love when a movie is so impressive on a technical level that you just have to know like how did they pull this off, what went into this.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I completely agree. Avatar was one of those movies that just, after I watched it, I was blown away. And I love movies that don't feel like, this movie didn't feel like a big studio put it out. Like obviously the budget wise, it does, but in terms of like hard work and focus and just wanting to put out a product that is excellent, No, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like Top Gun, where they wanted to make sure it was perfect before they put it out, and this movie felt like that.
Yeah, it felt like it felt filmmaker driven, you know, and you know, and not like it was like pushed out on a conveyor belt by this big studio, you know.
Feels like James Cameron said, no, it'll come out when I want it to come out because it'll be perfect, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, and what's great and what's really crazy is that they filmed this movie and a couple of the sequels like back to back. Like Avatar 3 right now it's in post production, and Avatar 4 like just recently started filming.
Good.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I'll take more after that. If they're this good, I'll take them.
I know. I agree. Yeah. One thing story-wise that I thought was really interesting was what they did with Sigourney Weaver and Stephen Lang's characters, because when I first heard that they were coming back for this film, I was like, wait, how are they going to do that? Because their characters died in the first film. So Sigourney Weaver, they had her playing 2 roles. They had her playing Dr. Grace again in flashbacks, and then you had her playing a new character, as Grace's daughter, or at least the daughter of Grace's avatar, and I thought she did a great job. You know, I mean, not only the motion capture, but Sigourney's mannerisms and the way she played it, you were really convinced that that she was a teenager, that she was a child, and I thought that was really interesting. And as far as Quadrix goes, Stephen Lang's character, I thought it was interesting how they made him like a clone thing, and then put that clone into an avatar. Like, I just thought it was awesome to see Stephen Lang again, because I love Stephen Lang. It's great seeing him chew the scenery in the film, especially when he's playing a villain character.
I completely agree with Stephen Lang's character. I adored him in this movie. I thought that he was like the perfect villain, just because like for this style of movie where I am so focused on the visuals that I don't care one bit about the story. This guy had no story elements at all. His one thing was, I want to kill Jake Sully. That was it.
Just evil villain, yeah.
Evil villain. And I ate it up. It was perfect for me because it fit this film for me. Because like I said, I was just so impressed with what I was watching. And when the big action came in the third act, I was just like smiling the whole time. I loved it to death. Stephen Lang's character was awesome. I'm happy he came back because I liked him in the first film. Yeah. And seeing him as an avatar do the things that Jake did in the first is just cool. And seeing how he does them in a different way, and how just his mannerisms and his demeanor makes the scenes fun and enjoyable. So he was a good addition. Yeah.
I also really enjoyed the character of Spider. I thought his story and his arc were really interesting, because he's got this inner moral conflict between like wanting to fit in with the Na'vi, and also trying to figure out his relationship with Quadrix, since he's Quadrix's son. And I thought the actor Jack Champion did a really good job in that role.
Yeah, I like Spider too. I think it was just fun to watch on screen. I think him and his relationship with Sully's kids was a really strong aspect of the movie. This movie is really about family.
Yeah, I love that aspect. Yeah,
I love the family movie. A lot of family movies this year.
Yeah,
I love family movies, but I don't really understand his. In terms of Spider from like a inner perspective scenario, like I don't understand his motives, because he kept working both sides a lot in the movie, and they don't really like go into detail on why he's doing that. He just kind of does it, and then he completely flips back to the other side. I guess it's just kid being kids. I don't really mind. This is just one thing after the movie. I was like, why'd he do that? He hopped back and forth several times. But besides for the actor was great. His relationship between all the kids was awesome, and it was just very interesting to see that aspect of a kid being like a human being left behind.
Yeah,
and having the Na'vi. It's very interesting to watch, and I did not expect that. I don't think it was in any of the trailers or anything, so it caught me off guard in the movie. So I was a fan of the character.
Yeah. Simon Franklin, replacing the late great James Horner, did a great job with the score, and it worked well. It worked well with the action scenes. It worked well with the more emotional scenes, and also just the entire third act. Was just an absolute blast, an absolute thrill ride. And like I said, it just James Cameron showing off. I think second act was James Cameron just showing off, flexing what he can do with visual effects. And the third act was him showing off what he could do with action sequences, and he's like really he really reminding us that this is the same guy that made Terminator and Terminator 2 and Aliens.
True that. Yeah, the score was unbelievable. Especially even like the ending movie when the credits are playing. Like, dude, it's just the music's beautiful, the visuals are awesome. Like, you got to sit there and watch. There's nothing in the credits. You just need to sit there and watch because it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a great experience. Yeah, the composer, fantastic job. Big shoes to fill, like you said, and he knocked it out of the park. So,
as far as flaws go, the film is definitely lengthy. Like, there are some points where the pacing is pretty good, but other points where you really feel it. And there's the runtime, and also the fact that like with the first film, it doesn't have like the strongest or most like original story. But this film just does so many things right, and gave me so much more, and gave me like so much of what I wanted, that I really don't care. I thought this film was an incredible experience. It was definitely worked a long way in my opinion, and James Cameron like really put off something special here, and I cannot wait, and I cannot wait for Avatar 3, 4, 5, and however many more sequels they decide to do. So I'm gonna give this film a 4.5 out of 5. Go see it, and see it on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah. I completely agree with you in terms of everything you said about the movie, except the runtime. The runtime didn't really bother me, actually. And I think it's just because I recently saw Babylon, and that's a bad 3-hour movie.
Oh, yeah.
A bad 3-hour movie, you can really tell how. I compared Babylon to this movie. This movie was like
a breeze.
A breeze.
Yeah.
I think I was just so
enthralled.
And I was invested in the movie, so I went by really fast. Babylon, that's a whole different discussion.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Avatar is one of the most impressive things I have ever seen in my life in terms of cinema big screen, and the score was fantastic. The story was baseline. I have a couple problems with the story, especially but that comes down to tropes for me. I hate tropes. And in this movie, there's one that really drives me insane. It deals with the kids, and my dad doesn't understand me. Even though I do stupid stuff. Like, Dad, why are you getting mad at me? Well, you just did something I told you not to. Like,
yeah,
that stuff makes me furious. But other than that, the movie is fantastic. I'm gonna agree with you that it is something special. James Cameron pulled off literally something I was not even excited for. I really didn't care about it one bit. I was more excited for Babylon, and that's where my whatever. So I'm gonna give Avatar actually a 5 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
One of 5 movies I've given a 10 out of 10 to. Top Gun, The Menu, The Whale. And one other, Black Phone. Those are the movies I've given 10 out of 10s to. Those 5 in the year. 5 out of 5 for Avatar. Fantastic. Go see it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that was our review of Avatar: The Way of Water. Let us know your thoughts on the film. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like the video, subscribe, comment, share it, and we'll see you next time, where we'll talk about our most anticipated films of 2023. Fun little raunchy background Easter egg.